fans and viewers. All right, we're gonna talk sports teams in LA. Which franchise is really dominating the market here?
In Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles.
Okay. Poops, you want to start?
Well, okay, I can start. For many decades, I think the Lakers owned the town. They still seem to have some kind of control, but I think it's hanging by a thread because it's entirely based on one guy, LeBron. That didn't used to be true in the past. Even you could take Kobe era, you could take the Magic era. There were always multiple players, in addition to the star, but also there was that the Buss family was like a star themselves. The coach, Pat Riley, during that era was a star. Then it was Phil Jackson. So it was multifaceted. Now, the only thing of interest on that team for anyone is LeBron. And, he does certain things that also turn some people off. So it's hanging by a thread. The thing about LA is, if you don't win, and I don't mean like win the conference, you got to win the whole thing, or the fans eventually turn on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the cities that really love their teams.
I beg to differ.
So the ownership, people like Jeannie Buss, but it looks like she can't do the job. Who is the coach, really?
LeBron. We all know.
So it's LeBron. We don't even know if LeBron wants to be there anymore.
Okay.
Your
Time's up.
So the thing is hanging by a thread. Who's going to replace them? And here's where the surprise comes to you, Boots.
Who are you?
You're thinking I'm going to say Dodgers. Dodgers have a history
Hey, come on!
way beyond.
Spin it!
Clippers.
No, I'm not.
You're going to say the Rams.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say
The-
USC football.
What?
There was a long period of time. This is
You gotta be kidding.
before you were walking the face of the earth. Boots.
Even in my lifetime, they were.
USC football
gotta be
was
kidding.
dominant in Southern
Are
California.
you kidding me?
That's true.
And now they then slid. But I think bringing in this Lincoln Riley coach, that guy, not only can he
What do you
recruit,
believe this man?
he, in I think 5 years, he developed 2 Heisman winning quarterbacks.
All right.
And he can recruit like a madman.
First of all,
I think it's going to be
This
USC
is-
football.
this is horrendous because I'll get to USC later. But first, the Lakers.
The Lakers
is
stink.
the Lakers.
You know they stink.
It's the Lakers, and they do not stink. The Lakers had a tough year. That's what I'm going to phrase it as. But this year, LeBron averaged 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. And who do we talk about more? USC, the Clippers.
Do you not think the Lakers have
the
had
Clippers,
2 tough years?
the Dodgers, the Rams. We talk about the Lakers more.
We talk about it because we mainly know basketball.
No, poops.
I agree with
Out
Bobby
of
that
football, everyone talks about the Lakers more than they talk about USC or the Clippers or anyone in LA for that matter. But also, there's always excitement when you're with the Lakers. There's always, even this year,
Drama, you mean.
there's always drama. And this year, it wasn't really that bad. It was just smothered
Westbrook?
by injuries. And you might say Westbrook was bad, but Westbrook did not have that bad of a year. For everyone that's calling him Westbrook, it's understandable that little mid-range bank off the top of the backboard, it doesn't work. I'll agree with
What
you there.
about the terrible passes?
He averaged 18
his head out of the game.
18.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Is that really as bad as everyone's thinking?
No.
It's not.
No.
For your
But it
so-called
definitely
star,
is worse than his
for your
good
so-called
year.
star, LaMelo Ball, who was an all-star this year, Westbrook wasn't. Westbrook's numbers are far more better than LaMelo Ball's. So when
More better?
and when you
they're
take
far
Better.
and they're mo better.
so Anthony Davis also yes, Anthony Davis. I know he's injured every time season comes around, but Anthony Davis, when playing, he averaged 22 points and 10 rebounds. So this team is still their big three is intact. Obviously, they have LeBron with his 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, it's amazing what he's doing at his age. I expect him next year to still stick around as a very good player. But their mentality, LeBron said himself, it's win or bust. So I would not want to face a motivated LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis. Now let me get to USC. Poops, I'm shocked by this take. I'm truly shocked. I did not think you were going to say this. When has USC run L.A.? Have they ever? You're saying, yes, I know you said next year. Poops.
The run in the early 2000s, I think they had three
Lakers
national
fans
championships.
all across
There are
the
USC
world.
fans same way. Well, in the United States, basketball
can't
is a
compare it.
worldwide sport.
In states?
No, all you're talking about who is going to run L.A.
Yes.
We're not talking about the world. We're talking L.A.
Okay, Poops. You think there will not, I can certainly tell you, there will not be more USC fans than Laker fans. Also, when we talk about LA in college sports, it is equally divided between USC and UCLA
Wrong.
fans.
That's
Not
not
even
true.
close.
Oh, come on.
That's not
UCLA historically was a basketball program.
Yes, they
Their
are.
football program did not attract anywhere near
It's across all sports, Poops.
You're just wrong about this.
I'm not. You really think
don't-
USC is going to be...
It's because your lifetime is like a little blip.
Come
a little
on,
blip.
Poops. You know this is a terrible take on your part. USC, this would be the first... They haven't even made the college football playoff.
Dude,
Ever.
before you were
Ever.
born, the Pete Carroll
They
era
are gonna
at
have-
USC,
I know about the Pete Carroll era.
they were very dominant in LA. Everyone loved that program. They were producing, I think they produced 3 Heismans in something like 5 years. They won several national titles. And then Pete Carroll left and they went to the toilet.
Yes.
I'm gonna just
Exactly. But
It's a
right now, who
coach-driven-
runs LA? It's the Lakers. No doubt.
I'm going to second that, and I'm also going to dispute the concept. I despise the Lakers. I have my entire life. I hate them.
So do
But
I.
I am going to say, I'm going to agree with Body. The
Thank
Lakers
you.
run LA. I'm going to disagree that it's not about which star they have at the moment. It's the history that team has had, and the fans stick with the history. Those fans are going to bandwagon over to the Clippers because I think the Clippers are going to do well this year.
Yes, they are. But-
Temporarily, and Laker fans are going to talk crap about the
And
Lakers
everyone
and
talks
yada,
about the
yada, yada.
Lakers
But-
if healthy. When have the Clippers ever really been healthy? As
The
a whole
Laker
team?
fans are going to, it's still going to be Laker this, Laker that. I hate them.
All right, let's move on.
That's what we got.
Oh, do you have one more?
I do want to make one additional, more technical comment, response to what you were talking about the belief in the quality of the Lakers. The points you are making, I actually think are points against them rebounding and being good again. Here's what you got to think about, and just try to be open-minded for a moment in what I'm going to say. You were talking about how their stats really weren't that bad. It was just they were injured, and so
Yeah, the team needs time, and now they have a new coach. There's more excitement than there's ever been.
and who knows if that coach is any good to begin with. Certainly neither of us do, let alone Alec. However, here's my point. You're right, their stats weren't that bad. But even when they had all 3 players on the floor, they were basically a 500 team. The trouble is, if you look at the last, really probably 15 years or so, when it started to look like no longer did you need 2
I can't believe-
superstars to win, maybe it was starting to look like maybe you need 3.
Yeah.
Well, they have 3 superstars on their team. And they did produce equal to or above their normal stats.
They don't have 3 superstars, but
Now,
They have 2.5.
looking, when they came to the team, everybody thought
no,
they've got
they
3.
have one.
They've got 3.
When they came to the
Listen,
team, yeah,
listen, open-minded. when they came, yes. And your own point was they really produced about like they
What
normally
we're not
do.
forgetting is
They
the
really
Lakers have a championship with this team
In
too.
the bubble.
Asterisk. I know.
Okay, but
I
let
know.
me finish
But
my
still,
point.
who won?
Let me finish my point. Your point that they produce roughly what they usually do should mean when they were all together they were unbeatable. Because 3-star, and LeBron was producing more than he normally does. He was a 30-point-a-guy game. Historically, he
You
isn't.
can make that same take with the Nets, with Harden.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about the Nets in a while, but let's
They were
stick
just
with the
injured.
point that
They
you
were
were
just
making.
injured.
If that's what they are, which I believe that is what they are, you put them together, they don't win.
They don't have this. It's the pieces don't fit. But let's move on.
If the question is who runs LA, it's not USC. All right, let's move on.
Let's
Okay.
move on. We're question here. Next question is going to be about James Harden, CP3, and Russell Westbrook,
Okay.
or Westbrook, whichever you prefer. If these guys, all three of these guys, never win a ring, what does that say about these guys? Where does that put them in the rankings? Three players that have been high quality players but never win once. Wherever they go, they seem to lose.
So,
Thoughts?
where do they rank their position? Well, that's all I'm about to tell you. CP3, there's all this hype on CP3. Okay? And he's only had 20, you know how many times he's had 20 plus points averaged in a year? How many times? Take a guess.
Well, he's not a scorer. That's not what he does.
Oh, twice.
But that's not his game.
Okay, you can say that. In a season, twice in his career, he's not even averaging double-digit assists in his career. Also, he only averages 18 points and 9 assists with 4 rebounds. Westbrook, actually, this is my hot take. This is my take of the day.
You're now going to say Westbrook is better than
should be
CP3.
rated higher on the all-time point guards list than Chris Paul.
That
Yes,
is
I'm
ridiculous.
saying it. What has Chris Paul done other than all defensive team than that Russell Westbrook hasn't done? Tell me. And there are things that Russell Westbrook has done that CP3 hasn't done. Russell Westbrook is the all-time triple-double leader. He's an MVP. Chris Paul never won MVP. There's all these stats that show Westbrook has better career stats than CP3. There's nothing that proves that Chris Paul, they have the same number of rings, 0.
How many trips to a conference final?
I'm not sure. They both have one trip to the finals.
No, Chris Paul.
I think Chris Paul has been in the conference finals.
No, he probably wasn't ever with the Clippers.
He was never with the
No, but
Clippers.
what
He
about
was
with
with
Houston?
Houston a couple of
Wasn't
years.
he-
Oh,
Yeah,
well, then
sure.
he has multiple
Okay,
years because we
yes.
know he made NBA finals.
So did Westbrook.
Well, he would have gone once.
Once.
No, twice. He went to the finals
early
one
in
year.
their career.
He went to the finals
He
one
went
year
when they
with
got
Earl,
blown out.
by the Heat.
Yeah.
And then
And then against the
Against the
Warriors
Warriors.
in 2015-2016 season.
conference finals,
Yes.
not NBA finals.
Yeah,
I'm talking
well, that was,
conference.
that
But
was
anyway,
the question.
that really isn't your point anyway. You're becoming like a stat guy.
I'm not a stat guy.
You like
No,
that?
I do like
what,
stats.
What Westbrook is a stat generator. His game is about generating stats, not
yeah.
wins.
Poops.
Chris-
Westbrook had so much to do. KD
Well,
on his
wait.
own in
Did you ever
OKC
see-
would have never worked.
Did you not already have a chance to talk?
Harden, yes I did, but Harden on his own in Houston would have never done anything. Last year with the Wizards, even, the team was so much better than this year. The Wizards were at the bottom of their conference. He does make a big difference on his team. So if you're going to say that is blasphemy.
Here's what I think is true of Westbrook. When he's on a lousy team, so that he just becomes a one-man team, that works well for him. When he's on a real team, it doesn't work so
Really?
well.
Really? Oh, really? That's your statement?
I think had OKC had a chance to do a do-over when they decided they couldn't afford 3 superstars, I think had they had a do-over, without any hesitation at all, they would have kept Harden and let Westbrook go instead of the decision they made to do Westbrook.
You're saying some. Okay. Let me read to you my all-time point.
Also,
guards
the
list.
other thing and I realize we all have our own takes, and it's important that we do, but there is no ranking system None. And there's a huge number of ranking systems out there. But there's no all-time ranking system that puts Westbrook anywhere near CP3.
Apparently, Bootlet's ranking.
Except for yours.
Okay, let me read you my all-time point guard list. I got Magic at 1 currently. I've got Curry at 2. I've got Oscar Robertson at 3. John Stockton at 4. Isaiah Thomas at 5. Jason Kidd at 6. Russell Westbrook at 7. And CP3 at 8.
Okay, well, that basically goes with the vast majority of rankings out there, except for Westbrook. Nobody plugs him in
I
that
think
high.
Westbrook is far underrated for his career. Also, let me get into Harden now. Harden is classified as a shooting guard. So
That's the problem with Harden. You had a lot of talk on Westbrook.
go ahead.
That's the problem with ranking Harden, because he really was sort of a shooting point guard for a
he
chunk
was
of
really
his
never
career.
the point guard.
Well, he had the ball all the time.
Yes. As most
So whatever you
shooting
want
guards do.
You know, it's like Steph. Is Steph really a point guard? That's debatable.
Yeah.
These shooting point guards, it's kind of a hybrid position, so it doesn't fit the ranking system.
I think Steph you could
It just
classify as a
doesn't.
point guard.
CP3 is a classic point guard. Everyone sees him as a point guard. The way he plays is like a traditional point guard.
Is Russell
He fits. He would have fit that position if he played in the 1950s.
That's like saying Oscar
He would have
Robertson
fit
isn't
in
a
every decade that's gone on. He would have fit the.
If you're
Oscar
if you're saying that Westbrook isn't a true point guard, that's like saying Oscar Robertson isn't a true point guard.
Well, that's probably true because in his era, size-wise, he didn't fit the game. He was the size of a power forward back then.
Mm-hmm.
So he overwhelmed the action in the game. That's one of the reasons why he was so good. So you're right about that. But he was still much more classic point guard than Harden. Harden, you know, you're kind of penalizing no matter which way you look at this thing, because if you're classified as a shooting guard, then the last 3 years of his career, he's hurt his reputation because he's been an assist generator.
Here's the thing, okay?
So all I'm saying is it's much harder to evaluate Harden.
Mm-hmm. On my all-time shooting guards list, my top 5, I actually have Harden at 5. I go Michael Jordan 1, Kobe 2, Dwayne Wade 3, Iverson 4, and Harden 5.
Well, I think we've looked up the same all-time lists, because that's a familiar list.
It's tough though between Harden and Clyde
ranking
Drexler.
Harden way too high, because
It's not. It's simply not. And I can tell you why.
Let me make my point. I can tell you why.
Okay, now let me tell you.
I think that's ranking him way too high because, first of all, you're leaving off Jerry West out of that list. Jerry West should be a top 5 guy.
Well,
he's not on a lot of
also
lists
a point guard
because
or a shooting guard. That's a tough one there too. There's
No,
a lot
because
of lists he's ranked as
a
shooting.
lot of his years,
Yeah.
there was a point guard on that team, a real Gil Goodrich, who also scored pretty well too.
Gale.
But he definitely wasn't. Jerry West wasn't the primary ball handler during those years.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so but aside from leaving him off, Harden, I think he had that window in Houston where he was just a gunning shooting guard, controlling every aspect of the game.
Except defense.
Except defense.
Oh.
Yes. And he was great. But
Great at scoring.
yeah, but if you look at these other guys, they did it for longer. And most of the guys that everyone puts on the list, like the guys you're quoting, including even Kobe, who was kind of a ball hog himself, but still, they did things that made other players and their teams better. Harden...
Are you kidding me? Kobe made his team
Yes.
better. Obviously, he made the team better, but you think Kobe made the people
No,
players around him better?
Yes.
Come on, Poops. Come on.
Okay, look at the combination.
Yes, I have Kobe number 2 all the time, so that's not even debatable. But Harden has averaged
And
34
Michael
points
Jordan, same
twice in his. Of course, he's not.
Dwayne Wade is the classic example. He's another.
Can I talk? Is that okay?
No, but these
Harden
guys
has
did
averaged 34
that.
points twice in his career. 1 year he was averaging 36 points per game. He's averaged over 30 points twice.
But they
He's
packaged
averaged 10 assists twice. twice.
They packaged other top players with them.
His
And they
playmaking is
couldn't ever make it
amazing.
even to the NBA
Let-
Finals.
let-
He had to go through Durant. He had to go through Durant, Curry, Clay, Draymond, and Iguodala at the same time.
Let me
All
ask,
on the same team.
let me ask
They
you
got the
guys
conference
this.
finals every year. They just couldn't get through Steph, Clay,
Iguodala is just a role player.
Durant, and
Every
Draymond.
good
They
team
had
has role
four
players.
They had four guys.
Are you calling Iguodala one of those four?
No, Draymond, Clay, Steph, Curry.
Steph Curry.
So now he counts twice as you count once as a
And
point guard, once as a shooting guard.
KD.
Steph Curry. Okay, question. Since we've talked a lot about James Harden and
And KD, that's four.
Russell Westbrook, my next question is, both these guys have struggled a little. I know you're saying their stats are decent, but what do you guys think on the bounce back factor next season? How do you
I think
see-
I better go first because otherwise I'm unlikely to get any time. I actually believe they're both going to bounce back. More so with Harden in a significant way because, again, I think that team, they've had a good offseason. I think that the Sixers have had a very good offseason. I think, they got decimated with those injuries with Embiid. But I think Harden, already he's saying the right things. He's saying, I'm totally willing to take less because all I want to do is be on a team that competes for a title. So he's saying the right things. He's also been doing serious working out in the offseason, which I don't believe has been the case normally for him. He's
Clearly.
doesn't appear so.
Clearly.
So, but he's doing serious working out. It's being talked about that he's in better shape now than he was
So
during
do you
the
think
season.
Westbrook's not going to bounce back?
Well, what I think is Harden not only is going to bounce back, basically because he's going to be in shape, but he really wants it. He's on a team that's going forward, I think. Westbrook, I think the
I
problem
agree with
was
that. That team is looking for a title.
They're looking for a
forward.
title.
And
Are
they're-
the Lakers
they're
not?
in a window. Well, everybody's looking, but they're looking backwards.
They look confused. They're looking.
The trouble
confused.
Westbrook's got is it's what you said. He really kind of produced what he always produces. With him, I think the bounce back for him isn't because because he's going to produce more. I think he's going to find a way to fit in better.
Yes. When Westbrook always, and when you say he didn't make the team better back on that other debate, that was ridiculous. I
Let's
just want
not
to say
go
that.
backwards.
But
Let's move forward.
Westbrook will bounce back more than Harden. Harden will not bounce back. Harden will be the same Harden he's been last year. Maybe he might average a couple more points max. He averaged 22 and 10, which is not bad at all. At all.
With Harden, it's not the stats,
So,
it's the mistakes.
I understand. Harden, I don't think it will either stay the same or even get worse. Let me tell you why.
You're thinking Harden gets worse, you're saying?
I don't think he.
I think it will get
worse.
slightly worse. Yes.
I thought you said you thought he was going to bounce back.
No, I didn't. When did I say that? I said for his career.
So you don't believe he's going to bounce back?
No, I don't. Because this guy does have bad conditioning historically. Terrible.
Look at
We've
that.
seen
Look
that.
at those 8 or 9 years where he was the scoring leader, MVP
Hoops.
candidate every year.
Although Hoops, he did not look at the beginning of the season like he was just eating hamburgers from Sonic every day. So let's get this right.
That's a low
Sonic.
blow.
That is
Bringing
hard.
Sonic into this, Boots.
Westbrook.
How low can you
Westbrook
go?
plays with a certain energy that Harden doesn't. Westbrook missed shots. That's what brought him down this year. Westbrook is going to work on his craft. He is going to be better. This team is going to be better. I think it'll be a major bounce back season for Westbrook. Harden on the other end, I think he'll stay the same or get worse. Because Harden has bad conditioning. It looks like he's on the downhill slide. He's getting up there in age.
Well, so is Westbrook. They're similar age.
They are.
So,
But Westbrook is much more athletic.
Okay, let's move on. Final question for everyone tonight here is we're going to talk a little Brooklyn Nets. Are we thinking this team, are they contenders or are they pretenders? If Kyrie and KD stay, if one of them goes, what's happening here and who is this team?
According to our big board, if Kyrie and KD stay, So, are they contenders or pretenders? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So, unless KD comes out and makes a recommitment speech, if he says that I am recommitting to this team, I am committed to staying here and winning a championship title here in Brooklyn, that's the only way this is gonna work. Or if that doesn't happen, they are pretenders. Because I will tell you why. There will be too much tension in the locker room. A team can't. This is a team game. Basketball is a team game. Team basketball, it doesn't work together unless a team likes each other and is friends with each other. It doesn't work together. They don't, because all these players on their team are just selfish guys. Their 2 stars are selfish. And what has Steve Nash really done?
You're saying which 2 stars are the selfish guys? KD and Kyrie. Okay.
I'm not considering Ben Simmons a star.
Okay.
He's just he's
kind of a bench warmer.
He's a street clothes.
Okay. But so is that pretty much your argument?
No, I'm not done. I'm not done, Poops. Okay. When you're in the locker room, there's too much tension between those 2 guys. I think we can all agree together that KD is really trying to get rid of Kyrie.
I don't know what KD.
I think
every story under the books is out there. He's doing this, but he's also doing the opposite.
He wants to play with Kyrie. He doesn't want to play with Kyrie. He wants to stay at the Nets. He wants to get rid of Kyrie.
I think this, and I'm going to say this team is a pretender if KD and Kyrie stay. Most likely, they are pretenders.
Okay, I'm saying they're contenders, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, tell me why.
First of all, I have to respond to something you said before I give you my analysis of it. Taking you literally at what you said the whole thing is dependent on whether KD makes a speech.
Yes, that is exactly what I said.
If he doesn't make a speech, nothing else matters. They're pretenders.
Yep.
Okay, first of all,
exactly what I said.
KD doesn't, the only real speech he's ever made is that one when he got the MVP about his mom.
That was a good speech.
That was a great speech, but that's really the last speech I think he ever made.
He's a quiet guy?
He's not a guy that's going to make a speech. It has nothing to do with his impact on anything.
It does.
So
he needed to come out to the team and say, I'm recommitted.
Okay, so other than dismissing your situation as ridiculous,
that's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous at all. That's a true statement that I believe has to happen.
I think the circumstances are going to dictate things. It's not. KD isn't the type of person who is going to give an ultimatum and then pout until he gets his way. He's never been that. When he didn't like it at the Warriors, for whatever reason,
they traded him.
For whatever reason, he still played at the highest level every minute until he got hurt.
Wait, what?
KD never.
He never asked for a trade in season.
At the end of the year, he was gone, and pretty much that was known through that year. No, just let me have my moment.
You can say the same with Kawhi in Toronto.
But it didn't affect his play.
Oh my God.
I'm
talking about tension. It matters. It's a team game.
He has never been a player who pouts until he gets his way.
The players that are committed to Brooklyn, the players in Brooklyn, the role players, will not like Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving after this whole stuff.
It's not about Kevin Durant. That's about Kyrie. And Kyrie, I believe, with the ownership that they have and the way they feel about Kyrie,
careful with what you say.
He's most likely to be gone. But if he isn't gone, he's going to be playing. Because if he pulls the same kind of stuff he's done before, they'll get rid of him the day that happens, even if they get nothing for him.
Yes.
Those owners will not tolerate that behavior again.
If they keep Kyrie...
let me just finish my idea here.
Okay.
So my point is, KD will not stop playing at his level regardless of what happens. If he ends up there because they don't find the right trade situation, he'll accept that and play. Now, he may ultimately leave, but it's not going to be next year. He'll play at the highest level because he always does. Kyrie is either going to play, in which case the owners will accept that, and then they've got a monster of a team.
Either way.
If they have KD, Kyrie, they've got
You want to bring
Joe Harris back
Okay.
playing at he. I believe he's either
I was
the
going to
best.
say, you better not bring up Simmons.
No. Oh, but I will bring up Simmons because I actually think Simmons is going to come
You're
back.
kidding.
And I think he's
Listen
going
to hearsay.
I will admit
I'd love a
that
playback
this
on
is
this.
a could go either way call. But I happen to think he's going to play, and he'll be a role player, but he's got great skills to be a role player, surrounded by four
Listen
amazing shooters.
Poops.
He'll be
Poops.
surrounded. Listen,
Poops.
listen for a moment.
Hey, Poops.
He'll be surrounded by more shooting talent than any team has ever had. They're third and fourth best shooters.
The Warriors have had more.
Listen, the
Ever
third
had, that's
and
a big
fourth
statement.
best shooters are the first and second highest percentage three-point shooters in the NBA.
Poops.
Harris and Seth are number 1 and 2 on percentage three. Then they're going to have KD and Kyrie if Kyrie
They're good
stays.
shooters.
If Kyrie leaves, they still have got 3 great shooters.
You're
KD,
not factoring in any. We already know Kyrie's going to find some excuse to not play.
We
in the
don't
regular
know
season.
that.
We do know.
The one
It's
thing-
happened every year, so we do know. Either he'll get injured or something will happen where he will not. He will not
we
play.
really don't know until the time passes. And I'll give
KD
you.
will get hurt.
He
every,
might.
it all,
I think his biggest risk is mentally he goes bonkers.
all right, we got Poops. We're running out of time.
We're gonna have
We're
to
out.
wrap
But I
this
think
up.
they are clear-cut contenders, regardless of what happens with Kyrie.
All right.
Poops, we're cutting you loose.
It won't be the first time.
Thank you for watching Sports Right Now. We will be saying so long from our studios and goodbye from Sports Right Now.